It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 278. Let's get down to business.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He's deathly afraid of haunted hotel attractions, Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at Framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's Framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today in this special session of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. I'm really thankful you're here, and I'm also very thankful that today's guest spent a little bit of time out of her day not too long ago to share some amazing information that's going to help you build your email list, and not just build it to a larger number, but build it to a larger number with quality targeted leads and subscribers and readers, viewers, listeners, and whatever you want. This is one of the best episodes that you will hear because of our special guest, and that is Amy Porterfield. Amy Porterfield, every time I speak to her or I listen to her speak on stage or I listen to her podcast, the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast, I pull away so much information. Actually, Amy's show is one of the only ones that I listen to now because it's very relevant to what I'm doing. But not only are we going to talk about list building, we're going to talk about specifically how she uses list building in terms of helping her launch a product. And so there's a very purposeful way that she approaches the list building aspect of her business. And you may remember her actually from episode 137 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast, 140 some odd episodes ago. Well, she's been doing a lot of things. And the one thing that I know that she does very well is she offers lead magnets or incentives in many of her different podcast episodes. These are things like downloadable checklists or quick start guides and things like that I always want to download because they are very relevant to the content that's being published or pushed out onto the podcast. And so I ask her in this episode how she does that, how she does it so often, and how she actually automates that process so we can all do the same thing. And actually, the funny thing was immediately after I stopped recording this episode, we both sort of paused for a moment and we said, wow, that was an amazing conversation. And we both know this is going to be very helpful for you. So you guys are in for a treat for sure. So I'm not going to make you wait any longer. Here she is, one of my favorite people in the world, Amy Porterfield from amyporterfield.com and host of the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast. Let's do it. Guys, what's up? I'm so excited to welcome back Amy Porterfield from, you might remember her back in episode 137. She's one of my favorite people in the world, my fellow San Diegan. Amy, what's up? Welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, I'm excited too, and I'm sure everybody else is too, because you're a big name in this industry, as you know, and as everybody else knows, and you always have the most amazing strategies to share. That's why people love you, and that's why I listen to your podcast very religiously. Actually, a lot of people know this, that I only listen to like one or two podcasts, and yours has been, as of late, the one that I listen to the most. So thank you.
So very cool. That makes me very nervous to hear, but so very cool.
No, and the reason is because you always have these amazing strategies, like I said, and I want to dive into emails and how you're collecting those emails today, because you always seem to have an ear on kind of what's working and what's not in the space. And I know for a while, I remember it was mostly webinars leading into your email list and promoting them that way. But I'm just curious, like, what's working for you big time today?
You know, we're changing things up a little bit, and we're slowing down the funnel and starting with some more value add content even before we're inviting people to webinars. And so we've been working with a lot of content in the front end of those funnels, and we've been seeing some really good results. You know, I run a lot of Facebook ads, so this is where I do all my experimentation, but it definitely has been really successful in terms of list building.
Okay, so content. Tell me, like, what kinds of content do you mean?
So let me give you an example. I've got this course, Webinars That Convert. And usually what we'll do is we'll run a Facebook ad directly to the webinar sign-up page. We get people on a webinar, I teach on a webinar, and then I sell my program. But what we're noticing that's working even better now is if we start with the content that is free and valuable and actually is not behind a wall. So for example, I'll write a blog post or do a podcast episode around a webinar topic. And I like to start at the beginning. So I think, where's my audience right now? And a lot of people that want to do webinars don't know what they would do their webinar topic about, even if they have an online program to sell. So I did this one podcast episode about how to choose a webinar topic. And so we would run the Facebook ad to that episode. And then in that episode, in the show notes, and I'd advertise on the podcast that we have some kind of freebie that people can get, like a cheat sheet or a checklist. So first, they're going to just free content in front of a gate. Then they're getting a freebie, PDF, cheat sheet. And then eventually, as I warm them up in my email list, we'll invite them to a webinar. We're seeing bigger conversions on the webinar because of that warm-up nurture sequence.
It almost kind of is counterintuitive to me because, you're adding more steps between when you're introduced to people and when you sell. But tell me why this is working so well, do you think?
I totally agree with you because probably a year, even maybe back 2 years ago, I'd say don't make people jump through a lot of hoops to actually get on your email list so you could sell them into whatever program. Nowadays, because it's so congested online, there's a lot of noise. And in order to stand out, you've got to have really good content and you have to add value at a higher level than ever before. What we're seeing is that giving that value right from the get-go has been incredibly valuable or helpful to us because a lot of people won't do it. They want to go right to the opt-in. Another thing that we've been trying that you could actually skip, let's say the podcast episode, is doing an ad to a cheat sheet or a freebie, giving away some of the content in the ad. So the ad copy is a lot longer than normal, but then saying, hey, if you want the whole thing, come on over and grab this cheat sheet or this guide. And so the ad will go to an opt-in page, but it's not a webinar. We've noticed that going from an ad directly to a webinar sign-up page has been incredibly expensive for the leads. Things just change all the time with the Facebook algorithm. So because of that, we want to stay nimble and flexible. So that's why we're starting with different content that goes to an opt-in. So we've been trying tons of stuff.
How do you determine what gets given away for free in terms of the blog content or the podcast content or even the cheat sheet or the freebie versus like what do you keep in the course? I think this is where a lot of people struggles. They're like, that should be something included in the course, right? So why would I give it away for free?
So funny you're asking this question because I literally just this morning, the first thing I worked on was an outline to answer the question, what should I give away for free versus what do I include in my paid program? It literally is a question I get asked on social media every day. So I'm so glad you're asking this question.
So is that going to be a podcast episode or something?
It's going to be a podcast episode, but it's not out yet. So This is perfect timing. You guys get it first. I'm going to mess this up. So forgive me because it's not top of mind, but we have mutual friends. Who did you first learn from? Like some of your very early mentors? I'm thinking of like Academy or...
Yeah, Internet Business Mastery.
Yes.
Jeremy and Jason.
Jeremy and Jason. Yes. Forgive me, guys, if they're listening to this. It just totally escaped me in that moment. But a long time ago, I was listening to something that they put out. And they asked this great question in terms of what to do for free. And I've adopted it in my own business and kind of tweaked it to make it my own. And I call it the golden question. And that golden question is when you're talking about the free stuff, what to give away for free. I always say, what does your ideal customer avatar need to know, understand, be aware of, or believe? So know, understand, be aware of, or believe before they will ever open up their wallet and want to spend any money on your programs or services. So in many ways, you're starting out with where they are. So let me give you another example. Say I do a lot of stuff with my webinar course, so it's top of mind. So before anybody would want to buy my course about putting together a webinar system, they're going to first think, well, do I even have a topic? Like, what would I even do on a webinar? So that's why a lot of my free stuff is how to choose your webinar topic, just to kind of get them out of the gate just a little and think this is doable. So you want that free stuff to give them just a taste so they think I can do this, or give them just enough that they take a little action and think, okay, this is doable. This girl or this guy is onto something here. And they get that quick win. A lot of times people make a mistake and their freebie is so meaty and it takes so long for somebody to get through it that they never come out of that rabbit hole and say, okay, now I'm ready to buy, because they're still working on your free stuff. Mm-hmm. So think in terms of a quick win, but also what do they need to understand or believe in or really get before they're ready to buy?
I like that a lot. And I think the other question that comes with that is okay, let's say, and I'm guessing for your webinar course, the freebie is related to, okay, how do you know what to create a webinar about, right?
Yep.
do you still include that information inside your course, or is this like,
Yes.
does your course kind of pick up where they left off?
No, so that's another thing. You never want to pick up where you left off in the free stuff in your online course. So for your online course, you want to start from the beginning. And this is how you want to think about it. If the free stuff is that jumping off point or making them feel like it's doable, the quick win, your online paid course, the reason why they're paying for that is because it's a system. It's the roadmap you're putting together. So it is totally okay if some of the stuff in your course, some of the content in your course can be found by you online for free. So if you went into any one of my online courses, there are pieces of that you will find on my podcast or blog or in a video that's totally free out there. But what you're paying for is me to teach you step by step. Start here, do that, the roadmap. So overlap is totally fine. It's something I never worry about.
You know what's actually cool about that now that I'm thinking about it, if you were to teach that for free and somebody really benefits from that, they understand the topic of their webinar, then they go into the course and you cover that, they're like, oh, I already know this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm ahead of everybody else now.
Exactly. I mean, I have been teaching since 2010, and I have never received an email that said, you taught something in the course that I saw for free. Like, never. So it's something you don't even have to worry about.
Okay, so let's riff on this, and I'm going to take a little bit of a selfish approach here to that now that I have you on the call. A lot of the people listening, and you know that I have a podcasting course available at poweruppodcasting.com. So what would be a great example of a freebie related to the podcasting course? Because the podcasting course literally takes them from the very beginning. I like you with the webinar one, people have questions about, well, what am I even going to podcast about? And I do cover that right at the beginning. So would that be, in a similar way, a great freebie just to help people understand what their podcast could be about?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked this question because yes, you could definitely do a free tutorial. How do I come up with what I'm going to podcast about? So that's one way to go about it. Another way you can go about it is you can think about the most commonly asked questions. And I'm guessing you're going to agree, Pat, that one of the questions I get asked a lot when it comes to podcasting is, well, what does the equipment look like? What do I need? How much of an investment? And although you cover that extensively in your course, and I'm going to guess you show people how to set things up.
Yep.
Great. So you're going to leave that for the course, but a great freebie could be, okay, depending on your budget, here are some things that you want to think about. It's kind of like how to figure out what technology you'll need for your podcast based on your budget. You don't give it all away, but you have to give just enough away that people walk away feeling like they got value. And I think that's where most people screw up. They either give away way too much in the freebie or not enough that people feel like you've got their back.
I love
so
that.
You have to figure out that balance. But here's a little secret that I often say when I teach this on stage. I often say that I know I have a really good freebie that is going to attract my perfect audience when I have this little tinge inside me that says, ooh, that's so good. Are you sure you should be giving away this for free? Like I'm a little uncomfortable about how good the freebie is, then I know I've hit it right on the head. Like I got it.
So if you're feeling that tinge, just give it away.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
just
good.
do it. Just a little bit like, oh, this is so good. You're not giving away the farm. And remember, people are paying for the whole package.
Right. And so one more thing just to reiterate that I think was really important that you mentioned earlier was the way that you determine what you offer for free. And it doesn't really matter what kind of platform you're doing that on. It could be, like you said, a blog or a podcast or a video even. But just correct me if I'm wrong. The four things are what do they need to know? What do they need to understand? What do they need to be aware of? Or what do they need to believe in order to even just think about actually making a purchase with you? Is that correct?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, good. We covered that. Now I want to get into, these freebies, because I think a lot of us know that, in order to get people on your email list, you need to offer some sort of incentive. And I love how you, in most of your podcast episodes, at least, you don't do this in all of them, but a lot of them. And it's kind of, I don't know how you do it this way, which is why I wanted to bring you on. But you offer these amazing content upgrades, like you said, these cheat sheets and checklists and other freebies that are downloadable in exchange for an email address. And we've talked about this extensively when we've had Clay Collins on the show before in episode 78. We talked about these things, but the way that you do it, just I don't know how you do it. Like how I want to walk through your brain and understand. Okay, when you let's actually figure out like how you create a podcast episode and tie in a lead magnet and what all that is. Like, what's your approach when you create content? Because this is something I've been doing recently. It's not just creating content to create content, but creating content with a purpose. And so do you consider when you write content or when you create a podcast episode, like the courses that thing is eventually going to lead into and the launches? Like, I need to understand how this all works.
So I do, but not at a level that you would think was completely organized and really solid. So for the record, I'm always thinking about how can I create this content and how could it tie back to my 3 areas: list building, course creation, or webinars. It doesn't always tie back, but if it does, I'll pay closer attention to what that freebie is and where it might lead to down the road. But let me give you an example. So recently, I did an episode about my new website makeover. We totally redid my website, long overdue, and it was a really messy experience due to my lack of leadership. Like, I really screwed up this whole process. So I did this podcast episode where I walked people through like where I messed up and how they can sidestep all these mess ups. So I did that podcast episode. And then I thought, okay, so typically I outline my podcast first. And as I'm outlining, I start to think about what could be a really good freebie here. So I don't have it usually figured out until I'm deep into the outline, which takes me a good hour. So I'm a prepper. Mm-hmm. So I'll spend an hour on the outline and I'll think, okay, where could a freebie fit in here? Now, a few things come up. One, I think, well, do I really need a freebie? Because I'm never going to teach website creation or design or branding or anything like that. So that freebie is not going to lead into one of my programs. But that typically is not the deciding factor for me. I'm just looking for great value. The other thing I don't want to do is I don't want to think, okay, how can I create a freebie that just regurgitates everything that I just taught them? I don't think that's a really great freebie. I've done it in certain situations because if my podcast episode is really meaty, which you tend to do really meaty podcast episodes as well, people are on the subway, working out at the gym or whatever, and they're not taking notes. And sometimes the show note transcript is just too much.
Right.
And so if I could do a really good cheat sheet, here's the 10 things I just covered and a little extra to remind you. So when you go and actually implement, you have this, then by all means, I can do some kind of regurgitation in a quick cheat sheet. But what I like to do is go a little bit deeper with the freebie. So for example, I did this podcast episode all about how I reworked my website, why I made the decisions I made and the mistakes I made along the way. But the freebie were these 10 things to look out for when you're redoing your website. I didn't really get into all of that in the podcast episode because it was more like the whole process was messy and I wanted to clean it up for my audience. Mm-hmm. But I knew if they're going to find this valuable, they're going to need some guidance to create their their website as well. So I took it a little bit further for them. And that's some of the great freebies that you can do. How can you dive just a little bit deeper?
I like that. So you're offering even more value for the listener. This is a content upgrade, as we call it in the space. And so when people get into your list, what is your hope with that particular piece that you're offering them?
So with that piece, it's just, I hope that I knock their socks off and help them. So when they're thinking, who's really helpful online, they think of me. Because again, I'm never going to teach website creation. So it's not necessarily to put them into a funnel. Now, you want me to talk about a little bit when it is more specific?
Yes, please.
Okay. So let's say I did this not too long ago. I did a podcast episode about how to price your online course. And this is a great one to talk about because I have an entire training inside of my Courses That Convert program all about how to choose pricing for your course. So that's in my course that you pay for. However, this is one of the number one questions I get asked a lot. And people feel that they're stuck because they don't know what to charge for it, even though this is not an area I think they should be worried about just yet. In my opinion, if you don't have a course yet, it's too early to worry about it, but it's human nature to think like that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do a podcast episode about this. And so with that, because it was so extensive, at the time, what I did, and I think it still does this now, the freebie actually was an invite to my webinar. And now the freebie is an invite to my automated webinar because it was so good that it made sense to dive right into the next step, which is the webinar. And the webinar, of course, then sells my program. So when I know it's going to go right into a funnel to sell my program, I likely spend more time on that freebie to make it extra good.
I see. How do you promote it from the podcast specifically?
So how do I promote the freebie?
Yes.
Oh, great question. So the number one thing is, like I said, you have to make sure you know what that freebie is before you record your podcast episode, because then it's really easy to tease it throughout. So first of all, I mention it in the intro, and I tell people 2 ways to get it. They can either go to a standalone URL that has the opt-in page, or they can go to my show notes, and I typically have an image in there for the freebie in the show notes. So there's 2 ways to get to it, but I always just send them directly to the opt-in page. I want them to get it as fast as possible. So that's one thing. On the podcast, I do not send them to the show notes to go find it. Okay, so that's one. And I say it in the intro. I tease it throughout, maybe once or twice if it's not too aggressive. I tease and I say, hey, if you want to know more about this, or if you want to dive deeper, remember I've got that freebie. And then I always give the URL one more time in the outro. And that's why a lot of the times this works best when I'm not advertising for somebody else. You know, I do sponsorship on my podcast, but once in a while, I don't always do sponsorship. But let's say I did a lot more. I'm thinking about doing some more sponsorship on my podcast. I'd probably refrain from a podcast episode and instead really push the freebie if it directly tied to getting into a funnel to buying my product.
Oh, you'd refrain from including a sponsor in that.
I think I would.
Episode.
Yeah, I think I like giving them as few actions as possible if it's a really big tie to a paid program of mine.
What are some?
But I look at sponsorship different than most people, so you might not agree with that one, and that's cool.
No, I mean, I don't know if people have noticed this already, but I have pulled away from the sponsorships on SPI, specifically because I have now these courses coming out, and I think it makes complete sense. Like, you want to keep people in your ecosystem. If you have something to offer them, why are you kind of shipping people off elsewhere, right? Right, exactly. What are some other types of freebies? I think a lot of people might be scared about what you're talking about because they're like, oh, this sounds a little bit too difficult, right? I think a lot of people just aren't going to do it, I think. Can you help convince them that it's not as hard as it might seem? You're so good at interviewing, Pat. I am not as good at interviewing as you, and you ask such great questions. Well, I've done 200 and some odd of these. And seriously, and you pace really well. Just so you guys know, he didn't send me questions in advance, which I do way better with questions in advance. So this pacing is kind of blowing my mind. So we're just having a conversation. Yeah, and I feel like I'm doing good because you're asking questions that make perfect sense to what I've been thinking. So I love it. You're doing great. Hey, thanks. So how do we make this easy for everybody? Yes, that's such a great question. So how you make it easy is, one, you have a template for your freebies, your checklists, your blueprints, your guides, whatever you're going to give away. So if you were to download, let's say, the last 10 that I've done, because I just did this website upgrade, they would all look identical in terms of formatting, branding, layout, all that good stuff. So that's one thing. A lot of people get stuck in making it look good. So right away, I've got a template. It always looks the same. That's number one. Number two, think in terms of quick wins for your audience. They don't need to be really elaborate. So if you want to start something like this, but you're like, holy cow, this is a lot of work, start with the easy strategy of you just went over a bunch of stuff. Now you're putting it into a cheat sheet that they have it in just a one pager. That's different than a transcript and so much more valuable. So just start with that step. I said I don't like to regurgitate a lot, but it's a great way to ease you into this. Once you get a few of those under your belt, you're going to start to think, oh, what would be really cool is instead of just a cheat sheet of everything I covered, how about a checklist of the 5 things they need to do right away to make this actionable? Or a really good one is, here's 5 questions to ask yourself before you dive into the strategy I just taught you. So it could just be 5 quick questions and you give them a space to actually type in or write. So cheat sheets and checklists are a really nice, easy way to ease yourself into this. What tools are you using to create these templates? Ooh, yes. Okay, so let's talk tools. You and I both love Lead Pages. And Lead Pages has allowed me to do this in a really easy way. So like I said, the PDF is actually just a template that my designer created, and then my team knows how to then get in there and put the content. Do you know what tool they're using for creating that giveaway? I think it's InDesign. InDesign. So not super simple. So we've had to kind of figure it out internally. You could probably do it on even Word and just have a template in Word and you're right. You can make that stuff, right? Way easier. So let's just not say it's InDesign because I don't want anybody to go try to do that. So put the template, you're right, in like a Word document, and then you can put your stuff in there. Let's start out simple, which I'm sure we did years ago. Right, okay. So that's one thing. And then
a few things with lead pages that I think are important for you to understand. Number one is we use a lead box on the show notes. So if you are on my show notes and you see the box that I'm promising the freebie, and I purposely in the podcast episode say the title of that freebie so that when you come to my show notes, you see the title again. So it rings a bell. So on my show notes, you see the box, you click, a lead box pops up, put your name and email in, you're off to the races. So that's one way I use lead pages.
And a lead box for everybody listening is sort of just a pop-up that comes up as a result of an action that somebody takes, not just kind of one of those timed ones, which we're all annoyed about. This is like a proven thing that actually converts much better than just having a form on a page. So I like that you're using a lead box because you're going to get more emails that way. And it's like you said, it's a small, quick, yes, I want this. And then they have no choice but to either leave their email or exit out. So they're going to be more likely to finish that. So again, that's through lead pages. Okay, so I go to your site, I see that, I can opt in that way. Good.
Yes, and that's the coolest feature, I think, is the whole lead box. So I'm glad you explained that. The second thing is, remember, on my podcast, to make it super easy for them, I send them directly to a URL. So let me give you an example. This one will not work, so we're just going to make it up.
Oh, it's not your show notes URL?
Not on the podcast.
You're giving them literally the download URL.
I am. Now, at the end, I always say all the links I talked about are in the show notes, and I do give a link to the show notes at the end. But in the intro and in the middle, I send them directly to the opt-in page. So I'll say something like amyporterfield.com/200 download. So if it was episode 200, I'd say 200 download. Oh. So that's where they go. Or again, with lead pages, I use lead digits, and I'll say, or you can text the phrase 200 download to the number 33444. Again, that doesn't work. This is an example. But so I tell them to go directly to the URL or text to get it.
Right. And that's through lead digits. Again, through lead pages. We can all kind of see how much we love lead pages and why at this point.
Exactly.
In full disclosure for people who might be listening to this for the first time, I am indeed actually an advisor for the company. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of the tool. Are the lead digits actually converting for you? Because I know you can get data behind that. Like, do people actually text in for that too?
Yes, but not nearly as much as they just go to their browser and type it in.
Okay. So you don't need that.
You do not. It's just a little extra thing I do. But if I was just starting out, I would take that out of the equation.
Okay, so I'm listening to your podcast. I go to that URL and I go to an opt-in page. That opt-in page is something people have to produce. Like, how do you do this and just make it manageable?
What I do is I have one opt-in page through lead pages that I created, and I clone it every single time. So it looks the same every time, no matter what freebie you're going to get from me from here on out. It's the same opt-in page. It looks the same, but there's a different title in it. So the title of whatever freebie I'm promising you, that's the only difference. So that's one thing that allows me to do a lot with my podcast in terms of these freebies, because I'm using templates that I use over and over again. One thing I learned early on is you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And so it's a lead page template. You can choose whatever template you think works best, and then I clone it. And then, of course, I have a thank you page that is exactly the same every time after you opt into one of my freebies.
Is it the same thank you page?
Let me think for a second. It is not, because we put pixels on these.
Oh, okay. So those are Facebook pixels for tracking.
Yeah.
purposes.
So we want to know what people signed up for and if they actually signed up. So it's different, but it's cloned.
How easy is it to clone a page?
Within 1 second.
I love lead pages.
I know. I love that.
Not official sponsors of this episode, but check out lead pages. Anyway, I'll drop in a link in the resource section later on. Okay, so I subscribe. I go to the thank you page. What does the thank you page tell me?
So my thank you page is really simple, and I think you could get more elaborate, more strategic with it. But basically it says, hey, thanks for signing up for the freebie. Go check your email. I send it to you right away. Something like that. So it's really, really simple. And then once people hit that thank you page, they go into their email, and we have a really short email that says something like, the subject line is, here's the freebie we promised you. Once in a while, we might change the subject line to be more specific. Like, here's the pre-launch cheat sheet we promised you, or whatever. And then we might say 1 or 2 lines about why it's valuable. Here's the link. Boom, done.
Love it. And then in terms of the way that you're delivering that freebie, is that, let me guess, also through Lead Pages?
Actually, it is not. I'm glad you asked this. So we upload to Amazon S3.
Okay.
So we upload our PDF to Amazon S3, and then in the email, it says like, click here to download. They click and a new web browser opens up, and there it is, and they can save it on their desktop.
I'm curious too why you do it that way, because I know Lead Pages has the ability to you can upload the lead magnet to Lead Pages and have them deliver it. Is so that you can have more control over kind of what's going on? Or
talk to me about how that works. So if I uploaded it to, this is what I love. I'm totally deep in this, and then I learn new stuff all the time. I had known Lead Pages did that, but how does that work? Do they send an email?
They send an email automatically, yeah.
So I guess it's just because I always like the emails to come out of Infusionsoft from me.
There you go.
Which if Lead Pages is listening to this, they might be like, well, there's a way to do that. But that's really why I do it. I haven't looked into the Lead Pages way any closer, but I like it coming from Infusionsoft directly from me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I can also do it through ConvertKit. So, I mean, you have a lot of options, but I think what matters is you're getting that lead magnet into a person's hand immediately. And so, okay, I get that lead magnet. I might print it out or whatever and use it. What's the follow-up sequence like from there?
Okay, so let's talk about this. One of the things that I think is very stressful when you're growing your email list is a question that comes up is, okay, so what do I do once they're on my email list?
Yeah.
And this one, you've got some options, like you said, but one of the things we do to keep it pretty simple is once you sign up for one of my freebies, you now are in a funnel of general emails that every single week I email for my podcast. And so every week you're going to start to get an email from me that says, hey, I've got a new podcast episode. Here's what it's about. Here's what the freebie is. And then from there, you can decide if you want to go listen to more podcast episodes. However, there's another level to that. And let's say you signed up for one of my freebies that is related to either list building, course creation, or webinars. Mm-hmm. Once you're in my funnel for a few weeks, you will be pulled out of that general Thursday email list and put into a specific funnel where you're going to just be getting emails for a little while around one of those three topics I just mentioned, because you already got a freebie to say, hey, I'm interested in this topic. So you eventually will be put into one of my three funnels that includes just free content, maybe a podcast episode that's specific to one of those topics, and then a few invites to my webinar.
Got it. And then how do you, on top of that, utilize Facebook and the pixels and the tracking that you've done?
So when somebody comes to, let's say, a podcast episode freebie that has to do with course creation, we know that. And so when we start to promote for my Courses That Convert program, we will speak to those people in a very specific way. Hey, we know you got such and such freebie. Check out this or try this new strategy. So we get to talk to those people differently because we know what they signed up for.
Got it. And so you're kind of messaging them in multiple ways, right? During a promotion via email and on Facebook at the same time, right? Because you kind of never know what people are going to see and not see.
It's true. And because we're talking to some people that might be new to all this or they're just getting into it, my suggestion is baby steps, meaning take it a little at a time. You don't need to be doing all this stuff I'm doing, meaning retargeting my ads and putting people in special funnels, taking them out of these funnels. All of that is complicated. And even for a girl that's been doing it for a long time, it can feel overwhelming for a bit until you start to really get it. Mm-hmm. So just kind of ease into some of this stuff. But what's important is you know what's possible so that you can keep stacking your strategies as you get better and better at it.
Love it. What's been your most popular freebie?
Ooh, my most popular freebie. I think anything related to list building. I did a 2-part list builder where one, I talked about the mindset around list building, and second, a bunch of examples around what you can use to build your email list. Mm-hmm. And those two were the most popular. I think anything though, and this can be valuable for anybody listening, anytime I do a freebie where I'm showing a bunch of images and examples of what's working, whether in my business or those of my students, people eat that up. They love the imagery. They love when you link to examples and videos or whatever. So those typically are my most coveted ones.
I love that.
Or one more, if if I give an example of something I'm using in my business, like a job description for a project manager, if I give like my own stuff in a freebie, those tend to be the most popular as well.
Oh, that's good. I just saw you. That was last week's episode, at least at the time of this recording, right? Where you had Chloe on, or you talked about how you found her.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I love how you just bring us into your business. I think a lot of people struggle with that. Can you speak on, opening up the doors a little bit and kind of sharing behind the scenes? And did you struggle with that at first? I mean, you had mentioned you just flubbed this this website redesign, and now you're sharing all of it. I mean, why do you do that?
It never has come easy to me. I come from a corporate world where you want to look professional and put your best self forward. And I'm not a perfectionist by any means. However, I always want to look good online. I mean, I'm just going to admit it. Not physically look good, although that's always nice, but I want to put my best foot forward. Mm-hmm. And then I started to follow other people. I mean, Pat's a great example. A lot of our friends, Pat, do this where they're completely real online. And one day, it wasn't too long ago, maybe a year or two ago, I asked myself, why do I gravitate toward the people I gravitate toward in the sense of I watch all their videos, I listen to their podcasts, now I watch their Insta stories. Like, who are these people? And there was a very common theme throughout. They were all incredibly real, and they would share their mistakes, their missteps, their fears. And so I thought, okay, I really want to be real to my audience. And so I started to do that more and more. It still never feels totally good. Before I did the episode where I talked about how I really screwed up my website creation, I actually asked someone on my team, like, are you sure we want to talk about this? Is this going to make people feel, this is my biggest fear. And now I'm telling you the real stuff. I never want people to think like, this girl is a hot mess. She doesn't have her act together. Like, why am I following her if she's making all these mistakes? That's my mind sometimes. But then I realized, wait a second, when Pat shares something that he really screwed up on, all of a sudden I just love him more because I know the success he has. And I think my audience knows that I'm legit and I really am successful in this business. But if I don't share that stuff, it's a big fat lie about this isn't easy.
Right.
And so I just want to be more real.
Here's a tough question I'm about to ask you. And that is, I'm sorry, Amy. That is it still good to do that and share those mistakes when you're just starting out? Because you and I, we've been doing this for a while. We have been successful, and I feel like people love seeing the failures of successful people. But would people still gravitate toward, the honest, authentic people who are sharing their failures if they're just getting started out and they're trying to build a name for themselves?
Okay, this is a great question. I've never even thought of this or been asked this, but I will say my gut basically just told me that you can share the real stuff and the missteps along the way, but you have to have results to back up how you overcame that stuff. I'm not a big fan of people sharing as they're learning without a lot of results behind them. You've got to have something solid to say, I overcame this. I don't believe you should be sharing all these big mistakes and challenges if you don't have a good story of how you overcame it, because now you're just on the same playing field of those that you want to spend money with you.
Oh, I just got goosebumps. Amy, that was
true. You think it's true?
That was a good
okay,
answer.
Good.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Man, you never fail me, Amy. That was great. Thank you for that.
Good.
The last thing I want to share with everybody and kind of opening up the doors is something that Amy and I are both doing now. And we have a little bit of a friendly competition going on to see who could sort of...
bring it on.
see who could master this kind of new platform, if you will, better. And of course, it's all friendly, and we've agreed to meet more regularly to share tips and stuff with each other. But we also know that we're somewhat competitive, and that always fuels us, but we always have fun with it too. And that is the world of live video. And it's so funny because we're using the same company to build both of our studios so we can do this more regularly. And David and Luria from livestreamingpros.com have been incredibly helpful for both of us. And it's funny because Amy's texting me and is like, hey, look how far we've gotten. And I'm like, no, look what we're doing.
Wait, I just got to mention that we are so competitive, Pat and I, that I had David and Luria lie and say, tell him that we're doing all of my stuff first before they do your video studio. Like, I was ready to just lay it on thick, but that's not really happening.
No, I mean, they're literally putting them together at the same time for us.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited about this.
And I'd love to know I'd love for you to share with everybody why you're investing a little bit into creating, a studio to start doing things live and, obviously a little bit more regularly.
So I know that video, especially live video, is where it's at right now. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And this is coming from a girl that does not necessarily love live video. But I also love connecting with my audience. I love the business I've created and I want to keep it moving forward. So I know that's where I need to be. But I want to share really quickly, I didn't decide to do this video studio, and Pat and I will both tell you it's very, very expensive. It's a huge investment. And so I didn't decide to do it until I started to show up live on video for a good year consistently. So where I do my live videos inside of my private paid Facebook groups. So every week I do about 3 hours of live video Q&A. And I haven't been consistent on my Facebook page yet. And I thought that's where I really need to be spending time. But what really frustrated me was the right technology, the lighting, is the camera angle all right? And it was never a thing that I could just sit down and do live video. And for a girl, hair and makeup, you don't even know how lucky you are, Pat. You don't even know how lucky you are. So because of all this, I thought if I'm going to show up on my Facebook page every single week, I've got to find a solution to make this more plug and play. But what I think is great is I didn't just say, I've never done live video very consistently, but I'm just going to spend all this money and create a studio. I kind of proved to myself I could do it for a year with not so great lighting and bad background and all that. And then I thought, okay, let's go pro now. It's time to go pro.
Yeah, I love that. I sort of did the same thing. I didn't spend a whole year doing live video. Actually, I was very scared of it and intimidated by it as well. But I started doing Ask Pat Live on Fridays at 1:30 on my Facebook page. And I just really enjoy the engagement there. And I picked up a great strategy from you to go live in my Facebook groups too. So I have the Facebook community at smartpassiveincome.com/community with 30,000 members. I'll be going live for them more often now too. And of course,
so cool.
I have these Facebook groups for the courses that I've come out with too, and that's where I'll be holding office hours now, and that's actually a lot easier to manage, and it's a lot easier for people to go back and look at the archive of all the live streams, and they're there on Facebook already instead of having to download some other software. So it just makes complete sense, and it's why I wanted to invest money in it, and I knew that if I invested some money in it, it would also force me to do it, and I agree with you. It's not going anywhere, and I want to do better than you.
You better watch out, buddy. Actually, though, I'm really surprised for you to say that going live made you nervous. I feel like you are such a ham and you love, that interaction in that live that I didn't think that made you nervous at all.
Well, when I'm on stage and, I've been there for like a minute, I'm fine. Like I'm in my element. It's just the whole getting started and the nervousness leading up to it. Like I love the interaction, but just mustering up the courage to actually do it all the time and do it consistently, that's what the challenge was for me.
I hear ya. I'm always scared that the technology is going to fail me, which it still could. Even with our new setup, if Facebook Live is not behaving that certain day, it could screw us up. I had to get past those jitters of, you might lose your entire feed and you got to jump back on. And I hate not looking like I've got it together. So I had to get past that.
Hey, but you know what? If you make the mistakes, it could be another podcast episode you could do.
Believe me, everything is a podcast episode now.
Amy, I'm so thankful that you came on today. This was actually a very amazing discussion. I think a lot of people are going to pull a lot of things away from it, although I'm not surprised because every time I speak to you, I learn so much. And so with the live streams that you're doing, with your current course selection and everything you got going on, where would you recommend people go right now to get more stuff from you?
Well, thank you so much for asking. I'm at amyporterfield.com, and that's a good place to start for a lot of freebies.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. We appreciate you. Love you, and looking forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks again, Pat.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Amy Porterfield from amyporterfield.com. Man, just such an amazing episode. Amy, thank you. I know you listen to the show every once in a while, and if you're listening right now, thank you so, so much for all the amazing information. It's been already helpful to me, and I know it's going to be really helpful to everybody else listening as well. So if you'd like to check out the links and the resources that Amy and I talked about in this particular episode, all you have to do is go to smartpassiveincome.com/session278. Again, that's smartpassiveincome.com/session278. Cheers. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. I look forward to serving you in next week's episode. Until then, take care. All the best. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? Record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART.